Hey! So today, I'm making a simple DIY terrarium for 2 beetles I'm keeping. I want it to be humid, natural, and something that's both fun for them to explore and relaxing for me to look at. I'll be using a clear plastic bin, a hot glue gun to make ventilation holes, clay pebbles for drainage, a piece of window screen, safe soil, and some basic decor, just what I had on hand. I'm not going for anything fancy, just functional and cozy. This is the box I'm using. Just a simple plastic bin with a lid. Nothing special, but it holds humidity well, and I like that I can see into it from the sides. I use the tip of a hot glue gun to melt some small ventilation holes around the sides near the top, and a few in the lid too. It's a bit unconventional, but it works fine, as long as you're careful. I got excited and started pouring in the soil right away, but I kind of rushed it. Then I realized I forgot the drainage layer, so I had to scoop it all back out. Alright, real start now. I added a layer of clay pebbles to the bottom. This helps with drainage, keeping extra moisture away from the roots or bottom layer. It's especially helpful in a humid setup like this. Next, I added a piece of window screen right on top of the pebbles. This just keeps the soil from falling down into the drainage layer while still letting water pass through. A small detail, but it keeps the terrarium cleaner in the long run. Then, I added the soil again, this time properly. I used regular potting soil without fertilizers and pressed it in gently, making sure it was loose enough for burrowing. Beetles like to dig sometimes, so I wanted to give them a surface that's both soft and stable. Once the soil was in, I gave it a light spray with water. Not too much, just enough to kickstart the humidity and make the top layer slightly damp. It also helps the soil settle in a bit more evenly without compacting it too much. Once the soil was in and sprayed, I started decorating the enclosure. I didn't have a plan, just some natural pieces I gathered, and I let the layout sort of build itself. I began with 2 stones, placing one in the back corner and the other toward the front. They help create height, add texture, and give the setup a more grounded look. Then came the first large piece of bark, which I leaned gently against the back wall in the center. It made a natural little hiding spot, like a shelter tucked into the woods. Next, I leaned 2 thicker wooden sticks against that bark, one on the left, one slightly to the right. They rested nicely over the top, like branches that had fallen and settled together with time. The other piece of bark I nestled up against one of the wooden sticks. It kind of framed the structure like another level, or a shaded nook below a log. It wasn't just about how it looked, but also how the beetles might use it to crawl, to hide, to rest. When I lifted one of the bark pieces, I found the rose chafer just calmly sitting underneath, maybe sleeping, or just pretending. It looks kind of like it's dead, but that's just what they do. Sometimes they'll freeze up like this, and it's hard to tell if they're just sleeping or playing dead. I picked it up carefully and moved it into the new setup. It didn't move at all, just stayed totally still, even after I let go. Again, totally normal. That's just how they are sometimes. It'll probably wake up and start moving once it feels safe. When it came time to find the big black European ground beetle, it took a while. It had burrowed deep and was super skittish, so I had to slowly move bark and sift through the substrate to find it. In ground beetle, it took a while. It had burrowed deep and was super skittish, so I had to slowly move bark and sift through the substrate to find it. You can actually see it tucked in the left corner of the enclosure, barely moving but definitely aware of me. Every time I tried to get close, it either froze or scrambled away, making it tricky to handle. Unlike at Exotic's lair, who somehow manages to work with his exotic invertebrates using just one hand, I had to stop recording and put the camera down because I needed both hands to carefully catch and move it. Here you can see the ground beetle slowly moving toward this thin stick, and now it's starting to burrow underneath. They love finding small spaces to hide and feel safe. Harry's the rose chafer really starting to thrive. In its new home, it moves smoothly across the bark, exploring every inch with careful curiosity. You can see it grooming its legs and antennae, almost like it's getting used to the new environment. It pauses often to sense its surroundings, waves its antennae gently in the air, and climbs up one of the thicker sticks with ease, clearly comfortable in the humid setup. The way it navigates the textures and shadows shows it's settling in well and making this space its own. Meanwhile, the ground beetle is mostly tucked away in its burrow like always, preferring to stay hidden and safe. Hera's the final setup, with a few humid-loving succulents added. But the real stars are the isopods and springtails I introduced from the moss. They'll act as a natural cleanup crew, keeping the enclosure healthy by breaking down waste and preventing mold. That's the setup. Keep the humidity balanced, and don't forget a cleanup crew to keep things healthy. Plenty of hiding spots help the beetles feel safe. Thanks for watching.